Hello, I'm Dr. Eve Delunas, and this is the first of a four-part series on negative core beliefs. Today, I'm going to be talking about 4 ways negative core beliefs can impact you and your life. And I'd like to begin with a story. And the story is about a psychotherapy client of mine. She came to me because she was in a relationship that was not making her happy. She'd been in this relationship for 4 years. She'd never really been happy in this relationship. She was with someone who did not want to commit to marriage. Since she was pushing 30, she was very much interested in finding a life partner and having a family. And this guy wasn't into that at all. He was into dating other people, didn't always treat her very well, and yet she remained with him. And she wasn't very sure as to why she made that choice. Now, this is a professional woman. She was very attractive, very personable, and it didn't make sense that she would be staying with somebody that she didn't really want to be with, and staying with him for a long, long time. When what she really wanted was someone who would commit to her and commit to being together over the long term and starting a family together. So I knew that what was probably in the way was a negative core belief, because I know the power that our negative core beliefs have over us in our lives. So we began to explore, and lo and behold, I discovered, and she discovered, that deep down inside, she really felt like she didn't deserve to be happy, and that she didn't deserve a wonderful relationship with a man who adored her, who respected her, whom she loved and adored, with whom she could be in a family, have kids, and have a wonderful life together. And when we explored where that belief came from, we discovered that when she was very little, she made that decision that she didn't deserve to have that kind of relationship, that she would feel guilty if she had that kind of relationship. Now, why would somebody decide they'd feel guilty? Well, it's very much depend on the individual. And in the case of this woman, she had a handicapped younger sister who was severely handicapped. She loved her sister dearly, and she knew that her sister would never have that kind of relationship. And very early in her life, my client made the decision, that she would also not have that kind of relationship, because if she did, it would make her feel badly that her sister couldn't have such a relationship. So that was her conclusion, and she'd been acting on that conclusion. And when she really saw the core belief that was impacting her and that was running basically her choices with respect to relationships, she said, whoa, I'm not going to do this anymore. And she decided to change that core belief. And we worked together on using some very simple but very powerful methods to change that core belief into one that she wanted to have, which is, I deserve to have a long-term committed relationship with a wonderful partner and we love each other and respect each other and have great fun together and start a family together. And this felt much better to her, and she realized that her sister would be thrilled for her to have such a relationship, that her sister did not want her to sacrifice her happiness because her sister wasn't able to have this kind of relationship. Well, interestingly enough, very shortly after, I mean weeks after, she came to this new decision and reprogrammed her brain basically to take on this new belief. My client came in all smiles and said, well, first of all, I left here and broke up with my boyfriend and decided, why am I wasting my time with him? He wants to be with other people. He doesn't really love me, although he says he loves me. And I'm wasting my time. That's not what I really want. So I wished him well and sent him off on his way. The second thing that had happened is a week later, there was someone, a really terrific man actually, who had been frequenting the business where she worked. And suddenly, and she'd known this man for over a year, she always liked him, and nothing had ever transpired between them that was personal. And suddenly he came in one day to her office and asked her out. And she said yes. And lo and behold, as it transpired, this guy had the same values as her, wanted what she wanted, treated her really well. They had tremendous fun together. He was a really wonderful partner, and they ended up being together over the long term, choosing to be together. And she told me that she's never been happier. So what happened here? Well, just changing that negative core belief into a positive one, a positive, unlimiting one, changed this woman's life. And you might say, coincidence, mere coincidence. And I can tell you, I have had scores of clients with a variety of different kinds of core beliefs, because we're all different. And the same thing has happened in their lives as well. When we shift our core belief, our lives change for the better. And that happens automatically, and it's quite wonderful to see this happening in the lives of the people that I've worked with. So what's going on here? What do negative core beliefs have to do with our lives that we're living? How do they impact us? Well, let's look at the 4 ways. First of all, we only get what we believe. In other words, we always make ourselves right. So if you believe that, for example, if you're into having a certain kind of relationship, you believe that kind of person would never be interested in me, you will be correct. You will not attract somebody like the kind of person you're after who would be interested in you. Because again, we always make ourselves right. There are no exceptions to this. If you believe something isn't possible for you, it isn't possible for you. But not because it really isn't possible for you, only because that's what you've told yourself. And so therefore, the universe complies with what you've told yourself. Now, a lot of us have these ways of looking at our lives, and we say, well, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, as Dr. Wayne Dyer said so brilliantly, you need to see it, you'll see it after you believe it. So if you're waiting for your beliefs to change when your life changes, you're doing it backwards. Your beliefs dictate how your life goes. So if you want to change your life, change your beliefs first, and your life will follow suit, just like it did with my client and her relationships with men. So that's the first thing, that you always make yourself right when it comes to core beliefs. The second thing is your core beliefs impact your perceptions. They are like negative filters. So let's take my client. She never even saw this wonderful opportunity to have a relationship with this terrific guy right in front of her for a year, because our core beliefs blind us to those kinds of opportunities. They filter them out rather than highlighting them. And it wasn't until she changed her core belief that a part of her was like, whoa, this is really a possibility here. This guy is a great guy, and I never noticed. He was right there in front of my nose. So our core beliefs filter out the positive, and they highlight in our perceptions the negative. So let's say we believe we're not good enough because we think that we are stupid. We will have 10 pieces of evidence in our life that indicate that we are good enough, that we are smart, and one piece of evidence that you can interpret that, okay, I have some lack here in my ability to process or think or whatever. We will notice that one and ignore the other 10, and we will blow that one out of proportion. We will see it not for what it really is, which is we can't all be at 100% every day. We will see it as clear evidence that indeed we are not smart enough. So that's number 2. They act as filters and filter our perceptions, so we don't see certain things that are possible and right in front of our nose that would actually disconfirm our core belief, and we only see those things that would confirm our core belief, and we actually see them as more than what they really are. The third thing that happens when we have a negative core belief is that we constrict our lives, because our negative core beliefs tend to generate fear. So if you're fearful that you're not good enough, then you're not going to be trying and doing some things that might change your life for the better and prove to you that you are good enough. You're going to constrict, you're going to pull in, you're going to protect yourself. And so life is about avoiding the things you're afraid of rather than pursuing your passions, pursuing the things that you really love. So it's so important that we realize that when we change our core beliefs, that's when we start to feel free to move beyond that little tiny comfort zone we've created for ourselves, to broaden it and to make new discoveries and to have new possibilities come into our lives. And fourthly, our negative core beliefs impact our choices. And in fact, when we hold these negative core beliefs, we tend to make choices that aren't necessarily making us happy, that are sabotaging our happiness, that are limiting our happiness, that are in the direct opposite direction of our happiness, such as my client, who was choosing to be in a relationship that didn't make her happy on any level, rather than being open and opening her life to seeing somebody new who is much better suited for what she was wanting, for whom he would be a much better match for her. Okay, so fourth one, your choices when you have these negative beliefs are going to be very, very limited. All right, so you're probably asking questions like, where did these beliefs come from in the first place? And why do I not know I have these beliefs? Well, I'm going to answer those questions in my second video on this topic. And then in my third video, I'm going to go on to talk about how to identify your own limiting core beliefs. And lastly, what you can do to reprogram those core beliefs. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in obtaining more information on this topic, I have two options for you. One is my website, evedelunas.com. I have that listed below the video here. And the second is a book that I've written. So my book, as you can see here, is New Science, New Brain, New You. It's available on Amazon as a softcover book like this one, or as a Kindle. So if you are interested in getting more information, that would be another place you could go, because in my book, I talk about negative core beliefs. I talk about all the different ways that you can identify them, how they affect you, what you can do instead, how you can reprogram your brain, how you can rewire those thoughts and connections and ways of dealing with life in order to change your life. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And I welcome your comments and questions below.